Welcome everybody to our regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. For the record, today is March the 18th, 2019. It is now 7 p.m. and I call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum of the board present. I'm going to ask Mr. Stansberry to lead us in the pledges and Mr. Richter in the invocation. Everybody please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come down thanking you for the gift of life in itself. We thank you for all these our people who have gathered here this evening. We thank you for watching over our staff and our students as they just returned from spring break. I pray, Lord, as parents and guardians and our staff, that you would bless us to inspire our students to learn all that they can learn so they can come back and be good, productive citizens. And we ask this in Jesus' name. For the sake we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David and Jerry. I welcome our parents and our staff here. Agenda item number 2 is our special time set during the board meeting for us to recognize our Panthers of the Month and our Employees of the Month. Ms. Cook and Ms. Diosas, you want to handle that? I should have thought that one through more.
Yeah, caught that one.
How you doing, sir? Thank you. Camera's better.
This is our favorite part, recognizing our students and teachers.
Our Panthers of the Month for the month of February from Falk Elementary, or Falk Primary, is Kylie Ariz Mendez. Is Kylie here? Not present. I'm going to go ahead and read about Kylie. Falk Early Childhood has selected Kylie Ariz Mendez as their February Panther of the Month. Kylie is the daughter of Gilbert Ariz Mendez and Carly Oliver. Kylie is a pre-kindergartner at Falk Early Childhood. In her spare time, Kylie enjoys playing with her toys, her dolls, her dogs, Camilla and Mercury. Her favorite color is pink. She likes school because she likes to learn about letters and to eat lunch. Kylie would like to work at Walmart when she grows up. Kylie Ariz Mendez was selected as Panther of the Month because she is a dedicated student. She follows school rules and makes good choices. Kylie's a good helper to her teacher and her classmates and a great friend to everyone. Falk Early Childhood is proud to have Kylie Ariz Mendez as their Panther of the Month. From Keyburger Elementary, Cody Pollard. Is Cody here tonight? Come on up, Cody.
He's in the middle of something.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to stay up here if you'd like. Keyburger Elementary has selected Cody Pollard as their February Panther of the Month. Cody's a third grader at Keyburger Elementary and is the son of Gordon Clark. In his spare time, Cody enjoys playing on the computer and helping his dad. Cody's favorite subject in school is math, and he enjoys dancing to the math songs that are played in class. Cody was selected as Panther of the Month because he's always a good friend to others. Cody follows class rules and directions, uses his manners, and is becoming more social and outgoing. Most outstanding is he is always happy. Keyburger Elementary is proud to have Cody Pollard as their Panther of the Month. Charlie Marshall Elementary School, Adrian de la Paz. Is Adrian here tonight?
Strip rope.
Okay. I'm still going to go ahead and read his for the record. Charlie Marshall Elementary School has selected Adrian de la Paz as our February's Panther of the Month. Adrian is a first grader at CMES. He is always smiling and very polite. He is very respectful and always puts others first. We are proud of his hard work and dedication. Adrian is the son of Marissa Alegria and stepson of Lamar Delboski, and the grandson of Elizabeth Rosales. He has 2 younger sisters and several stepbrothers. He currently has 2 dogs. His favorite color is blue. Adrian's favorite hobby is playing video games. His favorite school subject is math. He likes school because he can learn new things every day while spending time with his good friends. Adrian hopes to become a police officer when he grows up. Please join us in congratulating Adrian Boss as our February Panther of the Month. He is one of the many bright stars we have at Charlie Marshall Elementary. For AC Blunt, and I'm sorry I'm not going to pronounce the name right, but I'm going to try. Luvia Fuentes Boites? Boites. Is Ms. Boites here? Come on up. AC Blunt Middle School has selected Luvia Fuentes Boites as their February Panther of the Month. Luvia is a 6th grade student at AC Blunt Middle School. She is the daughter of Rosa Boites. Luvia is the only girl in her family and has 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. Luvia's favorite class in school is art. In her spare time, Luvia likes to show off her creativity by painting. She also likes to play video games. I have to figure out video games and curriculum in school. That's the win-win part, right? When she finishes school, she wants a job that involves helping animals and might like to become a veterinarian. Something that might surprise others about Luvia is that she likes to bake and makes the best chocolate cake ever. Luvia Fuentes Boites was elected as Panther of the Month because she is a dedicated student. She was nominated by her teachers because she always follows the rules, makes good choices, and is a good example for her fellow classmates. AC Blunt Middle School is proud to have Luvia Fuentes Boites as their Panther of the Month. Aransas Pass High School, Blake Pate. Come on up, Blake. Aransas Pass High School has elected Blake Pate for their February Panther of the Month. Blake is a junior at Aransas Pass High School and is the grandson of Sandra Walsh. In his spare time, Blake enjoys working out, developing and watching YouTube videos, and playing games. He also enjoys taking care of his pet cat, Amelia. Blake's favorite subject in school is math, and his goal is to become a YouTuber or a game developer when he graduates. I'll make a lot of money doing that. Blake was selected Panther of the Month at Aransas Pass High School because of the hard work and dedication he exhibits. He is always polite and displays good citizenship. Aransas Pass High School is proud to have Blake Pate as their Panther of the Month.
All together. Let's take a picture. Come to the middle. Come right here. One more picture. Yeah. One more picture. Okay. Look right there. There you go. Good. Congratulations.
And to our students, I want to tell you that we're very proud of you as a board. I mean, you guys are a great example for the rest of the student body. And it's a privilege for your administrators to select you, so congratulations to you and your parents. Parents are doing a great job with it. Thank you. Employees of the month for the month of February for Falk are Lori Davila. Is Davila here? From T-Burger Elementary, Carolina Duckworth. Ms. Duckworth. From Charlie Marshall Elementary, Nora Trevino. Charlie Marshall Elementary School, is proud to recognize Nora Trevino as our February Employee of the Month. Ms. Trevino joined our team at Charlie Marshall Elementary School this year as a 4th grade math teacher. Her experience teaching 4th grade has been a welcome addition to her team. Nora has a gift for motivating students and uses that gift to make a difference in the lives of students. She has been a 4th grade teacher for over 10 years and has also taught reading and writing during her 16 years working in public education. Ms. Trevino is no stranger to hard work and can often be found working late with her teaching partners, Ms. London and Ms. Medina, or planning and preparing with her math partners, Ms. Pearson. Nora feels like she has found her home away from home here at Charlie Marshall Elementary School, and we are glad to call her part of our school family. She truly does wonderful things for students and goes above and beyond to identify strengths and weaknesses of her students so she can provide them the assistance they need to become successful. Nora is a loving mother of 3 and is married to our own very own Chief of Police, Eric Blanchard. Charlie Marshall Elementary School is proud to have Nora Trevino as their Employee of the Month and thankful that she is always willing to go the extra mile or put in the extra time to ensure her students are successful. Thank you. AC Blunt Middle School, Nancy Redmond. Nancy Redmond was selected by her fellow teachers as Employee of the Month at AC Blunt Middle School because of the hard work and dedication she exhibits for her students. This is her biography. After subbing for several years, Nancy was hired at the high school as a special ed aide in November of '92. The following summer, she got a call from the middle school principal asking if she would like a job of attendance clerk. She said, "You betcha." She worked as attendance clerk for many years. When the position of library aide came open, she decided that this would be the perfect position for her, as she loves to read. She decided to continue working instead of retiring. This is her 27th year at APISD. We are proud to have such a great employee like Nancy Redmond at AC Blunt Middle School. Ranges Pass High School, Mariella Vela. Come on up. Mariella Vela was selected by her fellow teachers as Employee of the Month at Ranges Pass High School because of the hard work and dedication she exhibits for our students. This is her biography in her words. I've been a paraprofessional for 17 years here at Ranges Pass Independent School District. My passion is working with students and helping them succeed throughout their high school years. My husband Roland and I have a daughter and 2 sons who graduated from APISD. I have 5 granddaughters and my hobbies include reading, traveling, and most of all spending time with family. I feel very fortunate to be working with a great supportive staff, especially my administrator. I love to put my heart, mind, and soul into the smallest acts. I believe this is the secret to success. Ranges Pass High School is proud to have such a great employee like Mariella Vela. On behalf of the board, to the employees, I think the testimonies written by the principals say a lot about them and why we're what I consider unique in being a small hometown. We know each other's kids and families, so thank y'all for taking great care of our students and being recognized by your principals.
Congratulations.
At this time, I'm going to allow a few minutes in case any of the parents or the students have anything else to do this afternoon. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting with us. but I'll also, like I said, allow a few seconds for you guys to exit if you'd like to do that.
Police, you can't leave sometimes.
Now we run silent.
I don't know what that means, Jeremy, but
Once a week, whether I need it or not, I think so.
agenda item number 3 are the public comments. Do we have any? We do not have any? Okay. We'll move on to agenda number 4, the Student Advisory Council Report. Minutes of the March 5th, 2019 meeting were included in your package. Ms. Cook, would you like to add anything to that?
Just that, it's really great to be able to meet with the students, and they always have great questions and great ideas that they bring to the table. We had an array last time from how to support substitutes better. And these are our students that are talking about these things, how to support our substitutes better, maybe some training, asking about the construction and any concerns they had, to mental health, needs for Wi-Fi. Hopefully that's for classwork and not that gaming stuff we were talking about, but Wi-Fi. More time to make college visits, and just what else can we do to help make our campuses safe from drugs and so forth. So just an array of topics that the students bring, and we get to have a great discussion. I know that Mr. Rector was a part of that meeting. I didn't know if he wanted to add anything from the discussion.
Our students always bring something good to the table. It is just, it's good for us as grown-ups to sit there with them and listen to them, the ideas they have, some of their concerns, and we'll check it out and see what we can do about it. So we just enjoy being there with them. I just enjoy hearing them.
I have not been fortunate enough to attend one of these, but the dialogue is pretty impressive. So kudos to keep this going. I hope it's only going to grow and make more people interested, because they are being heard. I believe they know that. I don't see anyone represented here tonight from there. They usually are here, so congratulations. It's very successful so far.
But as a group, they do a very good job.
Agenda item number 5 is a construction update.
Okay, I think we have some representatives here. Todd, did you want to go first? Tell us where we are on this great construction.
Thank you, Superintendent, Kara, Board Trustees, Board President. I'm going to run through the project status report. You've got hopefully the soft copy or hard copy in front of you. Got Fidel with Marshall Construction here who's can give you an update on the schedules. I don't see anybody from Kruger tonight, but we'll try to address those questions.
Tell them we asked for them.
Yes, we did. Okay, so on the elementary school, this is a couple weeks old, so I visited the site a couple days ago. So the contractor is completed about 40% of the walls on the second floor with texture and paint. They're finishing out the classrooms with paint, with ceiling grid. So they're installing, if you see the second photograph, they're starting to install all of the finishes. The building is dried in, and so they should be starting the air conditioning units this week, so they can start to help dry out the building. AEP has installed the transformers, so at this time, Kruger should have their permanent power to the building. Mechanical contractor is still probably just finishing up insulating all the ductwork on the first and second floor. Like I said, Kruger is actually cleaning the building so they can turn the air conditioning units on so that they don't have to change the filters so often. They're installing ceiling grids. So the last time I was out there, quite a few of the classrooms have ceiling grid in them. So that's a pretty big step. The contractor's also installing the porcelain floor tile in the restrooms and finished up the kitchen area. The painter is focusing on the interior, and we'll be working on the exterior once most of the interior is done as far as painting. So they've kind of stopped painting on the exterior until they catch up on the inside. Plumber is installing anything wall-mounted sinks, urinals in the restrooms. Data cabling has been run pretty much to all the classrooms, and they'll be terminating those pretty quickly. Entry tower roof is 90-some% complete, and site work on the concrete drive should have already started, but it looked like it was started, but will be started shortly. And then we continue to meet every other Tuesday to go over the construction schedule. New gym complex, the general contractor's here to elaborate a little more on that detail, but the photographs that I am showing, and when I was out there a couple of days ago, the big thing is most of all the aluminum storefront is in, interior and exterior, so the building is pretty much dried in, so they've been kicking on the big units in the gym to dry it out so they can start painting. That's one of the critical paths is to get it painted. The scoreboard should be on site pretty quickly. We'll find out shortly on that. And so all the overhead painting is complete. Scoreboards will be ready to install after paint is completed on the walls. And then the ticket booth, we made a few minor changes to the ticket booth and bringing it inside the building. And so that should be getting started pretty quickly. The existing gym floor, went ahead and peeked in there. There were most all it had been sanded. A lot of it was finished already under the bleachers, and at this point it should be sealed and should be putting some of the final coats on that. Be happy to answer any questions. And otherwise, I can turn it over to Fidel and he can give you more of the construction schedule.
Anybody have any questions for Todd? Mr. Fidel?
Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
You bet. Since we last met, or since I was last here, the work that's been going on is we've completed the metal wall panels. Not that many of them, but there are some on the roof next to the existing building. Soffit panels outside the south entry are completed. And they were working on some roof items later last week, and should be working on them early this week. Some miscellaneous items. Electrical wiring for the backboards that have motors. They've been working on that. The gas lines for the rooftop units are pretty much completed. It's just some final connections that have been made for that. They've been working on that all last week. Aluminum window frames, like Todd said, some of them are in, not all of them, because of equipment still having to come into the building to set scoreboards and backboard structures. But we'll get those in. As soon as all that high work's done, we'll finish the remaining ones. The air conditioning was started. It's been on almost a week and a half, maybe almost 2 weeks, but it's taken a long time to dry it out, but it finally has. And we took some measurements, moisture measurements late last week. We took them ourselves, and we got some good readings. They dropped significantly, and so tomorrow Sherwin-Williams in the morning, I believe, is coming to verify the readings that we got, and that way there's no question on any warranty issues or that it's ready for application. Shouldn't take long to put the block filler on. This week is the best time for them to do it because next week we're going to have a lot of activity inside, putting in backboard structures, scoreboards on the walls, in the center on the scoreboard. The tape and flow of the drywall at the gym was worked on, and some plumbing piping in the mechanical room out in the back southeast corner. This week we should have some more taping and floating to do. Finish it up in the gym, and then right after that go towards the lobby area and then the restroom ceilings. That's pretty much all the drywall we have. We're hoping to start heavy duty painting on the walls now, on the walls in the gym, now that the readings are met, and the ceilings of the restrooms. Gym lighting, working on this week. The concrete pavements, haven't started like I hoped so, but, I believe we're gonna start those this week finally. The backboard electrical wiring, should be worked on this week again, and then, and controls, and then, we'll have Wi-Fi data and sound wiring going on this week also in the gym. Next week, we'll continue painting walls and restroom ceilings, continue the concrete pavements, and install the wall and center hung scoreboards, and install the backboard units. Those are the major items for next week. I don't know if you got copies of the updated schedules to everyone yet. It's cooked. If not, I have copies here if they want.
Okay, yes, you want to hand those out.
Okay, so.
The last one you sent, I emailed, but I don't know if you did this one, so.
It's an update from the last one.
Is it being pushed up
Thank you.
or out?
It was pushed out just a little bit, but I haven't changed my critical line. Like the scoreboards before. One that got really pushed back was the gym flooring, just 1 week, just to make sure that we'd be ready for them.
When you were talking about the scoreboards, I'm sorry, I may have misunderstood or heard you, but you said they're all on site now?
No, they're scheduled to be delivered next Monday. Both the backboards are actually scheduled for this week, but I've pushed them out to this coming week, next Monday, the 25th. They should be able to work around each other. They're not going to be in the same spot per se. They'll take longer to put the backboards up, I think. And the center hung scoreboards only take a couple of days. And the two to three months for the scoreboards.
And that includes the central one?
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions, or do I need more time to review that? Sure. Thank you, Fidel, we appreciate you coming and being here today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You're welcome.
Agenda item number 6 is the consent agenda. Included in your board package are the minutes of the February 11, 2019 regular meeting. Does the board have any corrections? I have a motion by Ms. Diossis to accept the minutes from the February 11th meeting, and a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 7 are the monthly reports. The accounts payable report, budget status and investment report, tax collection report, bond finance update, and the enrollment report. Anybody have any questions? Ms. Cook, do you have any comments? Nope. Okay, just for the public record, I know some people over the public watches this at home, so I just want to give an update on the bond project. As of February 28, 2019, the bond allocation for the new elementary school was $12,471,352. Paid to date is $9,574,613. On the sports complex, which is the new high school gym, the bond allocation was $4,634,180. And paid to date is $3,478,234. The concession stand project is on the schedule. It has not started yet. As a board, we decided to delay that until we had some of these other projects completed. The bond allocation for other projects was $2 million. The expenditures to date on air conditioning was $92,660. A new phone system for $86,286. A new intercom system for $105,942. The doors at the high school were rekeyed, $30,446. And we chose to put complete roofs at Keyberger and at the high school in supplement with the insurance claim from the hurricane. The cost of that was $1,239,000. So total other projects expenditures is $1,554,334. On the reconciliation report for the bond funds, funds committed to the projects were $19,629,607. Balance of our bond proceeds are $5,383,304. Interest earned to date is $390,407. With the total resources available of $5,773,712 to complete the projects. On our district enrollment report, our attendance is at 1519. Looks like it's creeping up there slowly.
Go back up.
The attendance rate for the 4-6 weeks at the high school was 94.38%. At AC Blunt Middle School was 93.98. Charlie Marshall Elementary was 95.21. Keyberger 94.8. And at Falk 94.22 for a district average of 94.45. Next item on the agenda is a budget amendment. Included in your package is the amendment with the transfer of funds. Proposed budget amendment to move the bilingual coordinator salary to the assistant superintendent salary as included for your review and part of our approved budget. Does anybody have any questions? If there are no questions, do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented by administration?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Rector and a second by Ms. Diossis. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8 is to consider approve, agenda item number 9 is to consider approve the depository contract for funds. Ms. Stansberry included a memorandum. Ms. Stansberry, do you have any comments? Standard.
I recommend we accept the proposal.
A motion by Ms. Diossis to extend. A second by Mr. Stansberry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and for the record, that is with Prosperity Bank. Agenda item number 10 is the cancellation of election for the Board of Trustees. There is a memorandum from Ms. Stansberry. The deadline to file application for candidates, February 15, 2019, and the deadline to file a declaration of write-in candidates was February 19th. Both have passed with only one candidate filing for each place. Since our candidates are unopposed, we can cancel our election. I've attached the certification of unopposed candidates document and the order of cancellation that must be approved to the presiding officer of the governing body as the authority responsible for having the official ballot prepared. I hereby certify that the following candidates are unopposed for election to office for the election scheduled to be held on May the 4th, 2019. Place 3, Patricia Branch. Place 4, Veronica Johnson. Place 6, Adele Diossis. The order of cancellation reads, the Aransas Pass Independent School District Board of Trustees hereby cancels the election scheduled to be held on May for 2019 in accordance with Section 2.053A of the Texas Election Code. Following candidates have been certified as unopposed and are hereby elected as follows. Expiring terms: Patricia Branch, Board Member Place 3, Veronica Johnson, Board Member Place 4, and Adele Diazis, Board Member Place 6. A copy of this order will be posted on the election day at each polling place that would have been used in the election. Do I have a motion to approve the cancellation of the APIC board election?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rector, a second.
All right, second.
I don't need a second,
Please
so I
say
can
so.
oppose.
A second by Mr. Stansberry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, welcome back.
I swear.
Agenda item number 11 is to consider and approve the instructional materials allotment and TEAC certification for 2019-2020. Ms. Cook, you're up.
This is a standard action item each year that we bring to you. You'll see on page 43, you have where we're certifying that the district's technology and instructional materials allotment is used only for the expenses allowed by TEA or by the Texas Education Code. For the current school year, the district has instructional materials that collectively cover all elements of our TEACs of the required curriculum identified in the Texas Education Code. Upon request, the district will provide to the State Board of Education the title and publication of information of any instructional materials requisitioned or purchased by the district for the district's allotment. And you have all of the certified grade levels and certified subject areas that we bring to you for approval.
Board, any questions? There are no questions. I have a motion to approve the instructions material allotment as recommended by administration. Motion by Ms. Diazis, have a second. Second by Mr. Stansberry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're going to set a record. No? You hold that record? Yeah, I figured. For some reason. Agenda item number 12 is the principal's reports benchmark data discussion.
Yes, our principals are here this evening. We prepared a slide that we have in the packet, and we have it projected for our audience. Part of the task in working with our students is finding ways to track where our students are in their progress. Sometimes this can be times of celebration, and sometimes it can be times of a little frustration of what happened and what do we do next. So what the principals are sharing with you is our journey. We have not arrived to the finish line yet, so please do not be alarmed at this point, even though sometimes we have to catch our breath. We want to talk to you. They're going to share with you our approach, what we've been looking at, how we're trying to track where our students are going, what type of evidences we're using, and most importantly, what are we doing with this data to help us move forward so that we can ensure that our students reach the finish line and are very successful. So, Mr. Bennett, we'll begin.
Okay, thank you. First, we're going to start off talking about the process we go through with our formative assessments. It's based on backward design, 3-week formative assessments, and our PLC meetings. Backward design basically is taking the TEACs, the standards, the skills, the stars, whatever expectations the state puts out there for us is understanding those. Then you plan your assessments, how are you going to test to make sure students are reaching those, and then you make your lesson plans and activities towards your assessment. So it's backwards design, just like it says. We also use 3-week formative assessments and PLCs. Basically amounts to 3-week assessing over covered TEACs each 3-week period. Then we have a review and a roundtable conversation with our PLCs, professional learning communities, with our teachers. We meet, on my campus, we meet on Thursdays, and each department meets. Each teacher brings in their form with them. We go over the form. It starts out with numbers, but that's just the conversation starter. The meat of the whole process is the conversations we have in our ELCs and what we take from them, where the teachers look, they talk about the TEKs they covered and the score the students got toward those TEKs. But again, that's just starts the conversation, because they break down each one of those questions and they find out, was it a vocabulary issue, was it a reading issue, was it the TEK itself, did they have issues? But they hone in on exactly what they need to target in the upcoming instructions for the next 3 weeks. They also identify the 2 lowest TEKs, how they're going to be retaught differently, and they are noted in their lesson plans, so we can kind of keep up on where they're going. And again, they decide if it's TEK itself, is it vocabulary, is it content, is it reading? They really target what the issue is and why the students are scoring what they're scoring. Then we have discussion on its relevance. Each test question that they have, the teachers go into all of this. The rigor, the level of the questioning, the plan that they use to get there. They make suggestions, they give input, and they share ideas. Basically, through this 3-week formative assessment process, it comes down to the reflection, and the teachers ask themselves, how do I ensure students are learning? And that's what it's all about. And that's the 3-week process, which plays into our APISD instructional cycle. I think that's the next one, which is instruct, you assess, you collect the data, you analyze the data, and then you correct and enrich. We do that 3 weeks at a time. You actually do it every day, because they do an exit test for each day of the lesson, ensure that the learning took place each day. Then a 3-week assessment, and then we come with these benchmarks, which are given once or 2 times a year. We don't use the B word at high school. I call it, we use a semester exam, because if you say benchmark at high school, they don't take it as serious. But semester exams, they do it, it's the same purpose, and that's the data we use. And this, of course, is the levels. I think Ms. Dominguez Shelley has explained these to you before. These are in your packet, I believe, that says what each level is. Of course, we're hitting the meets and masters for accountability. Which brings me to my benchmark scores. This is what they were. U.S. History is 93, Biology 88, Algebra 72, then we have 80 and 81 for our English.
Can I ask you, when were these
These were in January, 2nd week of January.
of this year?
These are what we covered the whole first semester.
Okay.
So they'll take that, and this is what we base our, how we're gonna move forward to, if we had any lower, which of course we do, some low areas, how are we gonna address them between now and STAR testing, which for English is 3 weeks out. And right now, they're paying a lot of attention to the writing, and different things going on with that. The next slide, watch next for us. We're going to, of course, continue our formative assessments. We have after-school tutorials, Saturday school, continue with the targeted instruction, and then we get real close to the STAR review. And that's what they do when they take the information, the data from the benchmark, and how they proceed from there.
Jason, can you go back to that screen under the approaches section? Oh, you're right there. That deal.
Oh, this one?
That one. All right.
Do you see the same TEK popping in every 3 weeks? Is that usual?
The same, it could be, but they usually, we use Teach Resource, so it keeps us on pace, and move. But some of them keep coming around. For English, they'll keep coming around. Social studies, it could be a social studies skill, but the content, the kid may miss the question because they don't know what president did what, but they have the skill, the social studies skill they might have used, reading excerpt, but they just might have missed the content question.
Anything algebra-wise that you see consistent? It's pretty low needs.
Well, again, we changed algebra teachers one. I'm not saying that's it, but she did say, I think it was equations, something that they're continuously looking at, and she has tutorials every day. And that's not far off from where we were last year, though, the benchmark time. And we were fine when we got to the test, but it's pretty close to where we were at benchmark time last year.
Okay. And what grade level is Algebra 1 normally? I know it,
Freshman.
freshman, okay.
We give Algebra 1 and English 1 freshmen, and then sophomores take the English 2 and biology, and then juniors, U.S. history.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Bennett before y'all let him go?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. All right, so jump right into the data here. First, I'll point out on the 7th grade writing, we found an error in our answer key today. So with some quick recalculations, approaches comes in at 62, meets at 41, and then masters at 12% for the 7th grade writing. Where mine differs just a little bit from Mr. Bennett's is we do a full release benchmark test, so there's data, there's teaks and standards there that had not been covered at this point. So there's time left to cover some of those materials. For 3 of these tests, we test in 3 weeks. For the remaining tests, we have about 8 weeks before we test again. So there's a chunk of material for some of these that just had not been covered yet.
Jared, I went by me real quick, you said yours differed from Wayne's in the sense that yours had some teaks that had not been covered yet?
If I understood correctly, he does more of a semester test with content covered during the first semester. Or we pulled a release test, 2018 STAR test, and gave him the full test. So there's just material, because for 6 of these tests, they don't test for another 8 weeks, so there's 8 weeks of material. And this was the last week of February when we did this. These numbers obviously aren't where we would like them to be, but part of the journey is we find out where we stand and work from there. I would point out that 3 of these are better than we were where we stood on the STAR test last year. The others are within 5 to 7% for the most part, with the 8th grade math notwithstanding that particular doubt. As far as what's next, we'll take this information, we use the data to identify specific SEs, question types, and approaches that present the greatest challenges. We formulate that into instruction to target the classroom instruction. Moving forward, like you said, we have 6 of these tests, we have 8 weeks to go back and hit those question types, those SEs. Our after-school tutorials will shift the focus from maintaining to going back and reviewing and getting some STAR ready. And then we'll implement Saturday schools for 8th grade math and reading, 7th grade writing, and 6th grade reading in the next 3 weeks. And then after that first round of testing, we'll start Saturday schools again for the remaining tests.
Is tutorials or Saturday school mandatory or is it elective?
It's
You can't make that mandatory.
we formulated it in a way that we like to think is mandatory, but ultimately it's not.
Right. Okay.
So in your experience, what has been the attendance rate of the kids that are on the bubble attending that are not coming? I mean, how can you service them if they don't come, right?
So I would not like to hazard a guess on the attendance rate, but we typically, per content area, we have 30 to 40 kids on the Saturday morning.
And do we know, like, this approaches, it's 55% are approaching, are they like 1 step, are they 3 steps, or does that always vary within the 55%? Or do you know out of that 55, 35 are 1 step away from crossing over? Do you all get that data?
We do look at that. I don't have that particular with me. We like to look at, who missed it by 2 questions, 3 questions, 4 questions, but we also like to spend most of our time looking at what types of questions did they miss so that we can focus on the content that presents the greatest challenge for us.
Jason, can you go back to the next slide there? So if I'm reading that correctly, and I'm understanding, left corner bottom, after-school tutorials should focus to targeted star review, which you're reaching out and trying to get them the extra time. And then in the right-hand corner top, target classroom instruction material that has not been covered. So now you're going over the material that wasn't covered before the benchmark was given to make sure that you're covering all the T's.
Yes, sir.
And then in the right corner bottom, Saturday school 8th grade math reading. I guess as a parent and just playing devil's advocate, what happens to those kids that are on the bubble that don't have the parental support and don't have those mechanisms to come and get the extra time put in? Do we not have time blocked out during the school day to mediate them or remediate them and give them that extra time that they need? If I have a student here that's not going to be here on Saturday, how are we as a public system addressing that during the school day with time?
We do have math and reading interventions that have been scheduled throughout the year. That the type of kid that you're talking about is probably in those classes. Also, we have, like I said, for 6 of them we have 8 weeks left, but there's not 8 full weeks of material left there. So they have time blocked out at the end for whole class targeted star review as well there. And the 3 that are testing in the next 3 weeks, that's where they are, is in that blocked time.
So walk me through what that math and reading intervention looks like for that student. I mean, once they're identified.
How they're identified?
Once they're identified, what does that math reading intervention look during the classroom period? Is it during the regular block time for that?
It's an
for
additional
that
class
subject?
period.
I'm sorry?
It's an additional class period.
It's an additional class.
But for reading, we use Reading Plus. It's a program that we purchased district-wide that it assesses them once at the beginning and then periodically throughout, but it assesses their reading level and targets the grade level content at the level that they're reading at, and then moves them through with the intent of bringing them up to grade level. You know, at this point, not to put too fine a point on the number, but we're at, probably about 20% of our students in 7th grade that started in that Reading Plus have reached grade level. Most of those have been 3 or 4 grade level jumps from the start of the year. I've got a couple 8th graders that have, and the 6th graders are making pretty good progress too. For math, we do that within the classroom for 6th and 8th grade with the regular math teacher in some very small groups. And then for 7th grade, we actually have 2 math intervention classes that another teacher, so they see Ms. Smith, they see another teacher for 7th grade math.
Gotcha.
Can we go back to the top one more? I just got a general question. When I do percentages, it usually adds up to 100% when you go across. Where are we missing? Where's the other, the first row, where's the other 6, 7%?
Everybody in the master's column is included in the meets column.
Okay.
And everybody in the meets and the masters is included in the approach.
So you add masters to,
So the column that you don't see is what would add up to 100 with the approaches. That's the did not meet. So these are all passing scores.
okay.
Those that did not pass or that did not meet. So for 6th grade reading, 46% did not meet. So 46 basically.
Okay,
But
Got it.
these numbers will never add up to 100. But
Okay.
I guess they could have been great.
that makes sense. Okay, now I see it. I'm a visual.
You gotta
I'm like,
remember, this is that different accountability, and I know you don't see it as much as we look at it, but the approaches is a passing piece, even though it says approaches, and if you look at what it really means, where we're trying to move everybody more towards the meets, and the masters is where we want them. So when you look at the approaches and you don't see 70 or 80%, when you look at the state levels, you're not seeing those real high levels either, because we're moving that needle over. So we're pulling from the top so that we're pushing more, trying to get more kids to that meets and masters, but it's a process. It's not, this accountability system that's supposed to be very clean and clear is not, because of just what you said. When you look at it, you're looking at, well, where's the 100% and how did we arrive at this? These are the same kids that are counted each time.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just a general question, down the stats guy. Wouldn't it be more meaningful to say 69% not passing 8th grade math or forgetting about the rest of it?
Ask that again.
Well, there's some success in that story, so you don't want to
Well, I know, but I
eliminate
mean,
everything that's
Eighth
being
grade.
done.
we want everybody passing, that's our job, right?
Yeah.
So we need to concentrate on the ones that are not passing. Right?
Well, I can add to that, and on to next, is the new accountability system, as confusing as it is to those who don't live it, breathe it every day, we also, this accountability system gives us credit for the kids that don't pass. It gives us an opportunity to get points for showing growth, so
Right.
that's part of the
Moving the needle.
confusion with it, is, as Ms. Cook said, that pulling them from the top is, you know, if I pull a string along, I move everybody to this master's level versus the old accountability system was like pushing that string, and you try to push a string and it bunches up. And, you know, we used to just focus on getting them to passing. Now, getting them to passing from failing, or you can even get credit for a fail as long as you show growth, and you fail again as long as they don't backslide. So it is confusing to me, you know, and I work with it every day, but there's a way for us to get points for every student versus just those that hit that mark.
You know,
Yeah,
the old
same teams
accountability system, the way that you're thinking, yes, there was a, you did it or you didn't, you made it or you didn't make it. But that is the good thing about this system. It does give you recognition in the system for moving those children forward, because some children, you know, a year's growth may not put them on grade level, but they had a year's growth, and so we get recognition and points, as he said, for that.
Yeah, I mean,
A lot of data.
it is.
Thank you.
All right. Believe it or not, there's some celebrations to this story. You know, little combination between these two gentlemen. Everything with the exception of fourth grade reading and fourth grade math, which are the two highest tests. The fourth grade reading, fourth grade math were both equivalent to Mr. Bennett's semester exams. They will be taking their official mock STAR test, which will be taking last year's test this year, because the state released those to us. Those will be done next week for those two subjects. All the rest are released STAR tests. The same test that our fourth and fifth graders took last year, our fourth and fifth graders took this year. I look at the fourth grade writing and my stomach kind of churns a little bit. I also want to point out that that does not include our composition part of the test. The state sends those off. There are 3 people that grade each one of those. And then there is this formula of how many points you can get for the composition. My celebration is sitting at 44% in fourth grade writing with only the revised and edit portion of the test. I'm pretty happy. Last year we were at 62%, the state average of passing and writing last year on this exact same test, and we're leaving anywhere from 2 to 8 points off of every one of these. The state average last year for passing fourth grade writing was 42%. So we're leaving anywhere from 2 to 8 points off of every score, and we're already above the state average. Fourth grade writing is a test that the state struggles with, everybody struggles with. And so, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed to put a 44% up here. At the same time, knowing where we are now with 3 more weeks to go, and then adding in that composition score, I'm actually pretty pleased with where we're at. I told Ms. Dominguez, I was kind of putting this together, so I'm kind of scared to put that 96% up there for math, but at the same time, I'm proud of those teachers for getting us. But again, that's more of a semester exam. That's taught up until January, where I'll have some more accurate data to know exactly where we're at. I expect it to probably drop a few points, probably about 6 to 8 points. But all in all, looking at where we were last year to where we are this year, if I can maintain that science test, that will be a phenomenon. That was last year's 5th grade test, and I think we were 78%, give or take a point or two. I don't have it committed to memory. Those ladies, made a change in the team, moved one teacher up, kind of did some restructuring to give them the 90-minute block, and we're, yes, would I like to see better? Of course. I also think that our students will have, historically, students have always performed better on game day than scrimmage day, if that makes sense. Any questions on that one? Some of the things that we're working on, taking a look at our data, seeing where kids, we used our benchmark test to identify our academic strengths and weaknesses, seeing where kids score on which skills being taught. Began regrouping our 4th graders today with writing to give those writing teachers, there's a term that we use in education, ability grouping. I refuse to allow teachers to ability group and say the high ability is in this group, the low ability in the medium. It's ability grouping based on skills needed to be taught. You could have made an 82 on your benchmark, but you missed the same set of skills that the kid that made the 52. And of course, the kid that made 52 would have missed numerous others, but grouping them by I probably should have used grouping them by TEAC, by needs identified on the test according to their Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. 5th grade has begun restructuring, made a little shift in our PE groups so that they have their built-in during the school day tutorial block so that they can share kids equally amongst groups, because all my teams are in pods of 3. But like the reading teachers go together, the math teachers would go to PE together, the science teachers would go together. I've made a few adjustments so that all those teachers are in the classroom together so they can swap kids back and forth as needed. And then which is part of the targeted tutorial blocks. Got some afternoon, some teachers staying, making, today I'm gonna give a positive and a negative at the same time. I was a little upset that the buses, I was proud that the buses ran as fast as they did, but I was also a little bit upset that the buses have started running a little bit faster because Beth's made some adjustments, because I was using that 45, I had kids waiting anywhere from 45 to 55 minutes from dismissal, and I had teachers pulling kids that rode the bus, which, those are 70 kids that we could make good use of their time and not have to worry about mom or dad and transportation. And so it's like, darned if you do, darned if you don't. But we're cooking, and it's my compliment to Beth and her getting the buses running a little bit faster. But all is.
It's one problem to create another.
Yes, ma'am. Kind of is that free after school tutorial time without having to do transportation. Any questions?
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you look at this for kindergarten and first and both grade levels, just to let you guys know, it's a little, I don't know how, it's totally different than the second and third, because they're basically, does the kid recognize 10 sight words? Can they identify numbers up to 20? So what those scores are how many of the kids can actually do these tasks. For second and third grade, we actually did benchmarks mid-February. I had second grade create sort of a half of a STAR test, so those kids would get some practice and build some stamina to see what it's really like to take the STAR test. Third, we gave them last year's STAR test for reading, and the math test was a test I purchased. So those scores are based on last year's test. We've already identified, if you look at these two, you can see my second grade team is rocking right now. I want to give them some credit. They're amazing this year. I don't know if I can find the Kool-Aid they're drinking, but I'll give it to everybody. If you look, our biggest problem in math is who masters, and what we're having issues with is perimeter. We've identified it to the TEAC.
The teachers are getting real creative with what they're doing. I had them out on the playground with chalk, creating shapes and measuring perimeter in different ways. We're trying all kinds of stuff. They're just having a lot of trouble with it, and we've also identified they're not reading. So when they get on the math test and we have these questions that are very wordy, my top-notch kids are getting those wrong. They're just not reading. So we're working on building stamina with giving longer start questions or pulling from release tests for homework. So that's the scores. I can go to the next. Do you have any questions on the numbers before I move on to what we're doing as interventions? The next one? Okay. We started 2 tutoring programs. We have a during the day tutoring program and we have an after school tutoring program. The during the day program, we're taking our kids that are almost in the approaches level. They're sort of borderline passing the test. And they're working in very small groups, one-on-one with retired teachers that I'm bringing in. And our after-school program is a program that's trying to get these students that are borderline NEETs and borderline masters over that level to bring those numbers up. Earlier, Mr. Stansbury asked about the numbers and adding it up. We are graded on that NEETs. Last year, you guys know the scores came up pretty significant in Keyburger for 3rd grade passing for state. But we did not have, we all passed, but we didn't go above passing. We didn't hit that MEET standard. So this year our goal is to try to get those numbers up for MEETs and masters of all the tests. So we have that targeted after-school tutoring program and during the day, which we have purchased separate curriculum. So it's not just them repeating what they've heard in the classroom. We're doing our 3- and 6-week testing data dives. So my PLCs, every 3rd and 6 weeks, the teachers show up with data. And we figure out what went wrong, what kids didn't get, why didn't they get it, and then the following weeks we'll do what's called batters up. So the teachers that plan math will get in front of the other teachers and discuss how they're going to teach it, so everybody's on the same page and they're all teaching exactly the same. So like I said, weekly PLC meetings, and then we've also hired a reading interventionist, and we've already started moving a lot of the kids out of those reading intervention groups because they're testing a lot higher, and it's like a fluid program. We're constantly pulling kids in and out depending on how their every 3 weeks tests are coming back. For the data, I've also purchased some more things. Everything's digital. We had great CAM with the district. For my little guys, they had stacks of papers they would show up at my meetings with. So we purchased a program called ESGI, where when they're testing for their 10 sight words of the week, rather than doing each kid on a separate form, they have their cell phone, the sight words are in there. They click a button, I can go in it, Shelly can go in it, we can see all the data and pie graphs and everything, how many kids got the words and where we stand with it. So, any questions? Good. Thank you.
I want to just say I appreciate the principals. I know this is very hard to stand up and basically hang out your laundry on the screen and stand before you and have to share, because this is very personal. Everyone works really hard every day, and sometimes it doesn't shake out like we're hoping it is, but we're not giving up. And I appreciate the hard conversations we have as a team. We meet weekly, and sometimes you can tell emotions get a little high, or we get a little uncomfortable, but I appreciate how they're willing to sit there together and say, okay, and hold each other accountable. What are we going to do to strive for excellence every day? So I believe in them. I believe in our teachers, and I know we keep the focus, and we keep that standard high and have that high level of support for our teachers, having these good conversations. And we're going to continue to see these scores rise, because each of these scores, they represent a student. And so as much as we hate the STAR test, because no one feels comfortable with it, it's still the task before us, and we are up for the task, and we're going to keep doing everything we can to improve and show the great things that our students are capable of doing.
I agree. And just to share with the team, there's only staff here in the room, others listening on the recording. But just so you guys know, the vision and the direction of the board is when we were conducting our search during our change, one of the hard conversations we have is, what does our district look like in the future, and what do we want it to look like? What are our strengths and what are our weaknesses? And the next person that's going to sit in the seat, what is the direction we're giving them? And one of the things that we consistently
we talked about as a group was, over the last few years, we felt that we could kind of, what's the word I want to use? Became plateaued or become complacent. Good, wrong, bad, or indifferent. And one thing that I know working with this board and using the word accountability, it's not a bad word. I mean, some people will take the perception, well, what's the ramification of that? We don't want it to be a negative ramification. As a board, we're accountable to the public. You know, if they feel like we're not doing a good job, then we're not reelected or we don't come back. It's just an opportunity for us to grow and identify the areas that we want to improve on, and we were sharing that vision with the candidates is we were very direct, I believe. We wanted the meter to move on instruction in Aransas. It's what we're here for, is for the education of our students, to provide the best education system that we can. And we do that by hiring the best and having the best systems and processes in place. There's going to be holes and gaps, and there's going to be cracks and those things, but as long as we're working to correct them, we should be improving. We gave that directive to Ms. Jones when we hired her, and we're going to hold her accountable for that, because that's what we're supposed to do, and that's what she's supposed to do. Not a bad thing. It's a good thing, but in order to provide the best system that we can put together, is we have to have those hard discussions. We need you to share that information with us and be forthcoming, so there's not any surprises. And then it's just a matter of correction. We didn't meet the mark this year, so what are we doing the following year to correct that and get us where we want to be? I'm kind of a big picture person. I look at, that's what we're here for, but there's also a bigger picture than that. As a district financially, how can we get more resources for you to reach the students? We're going to do that through growth. We have to grow as a community, and you guys see it driving every day from Corpus or from Rockford or wherever. All the industries out there. You have Chenier, TPCO, there's a new project coming in Sitten. Who am I missing, Terry? It's also up there. That whole industry, that whole port area is developing. They're talking about a desalinization plant in Port Aransas. That's for water for industry. I mean, it's not residential use, so they're on the Harbor Island. That's where they're proposing to put the desalinization plant. All that water is going to industry. Industry will not come here if they don't have that water. So all that's going to create growth. You look at Portland, Portland's bottled in. They can't grow towards Corpus, it's water. So where are they going to grow towards? Towards the Exxon station, their plant that's coming in? No. So that means Ingleside, Aransas, Rockport, or move back into Corpus and fight the traffic driving in across the bridge. So where are they coming? They're coming here. And they have to choose. And if you as a parent, what are you going to use to make that choice? The school system and the community. We have to have homes. We've got construction going on. And now they're going to look at the schools. And here we sit after a hurricane and with the new bond package where our facilities are looking clean, fresh. So what's the next piece? Scores and instruction. So when they go to our websites and they can see what we're doing, it's going to draw them here and they're going to come look, and then hopefully they're going to move here, we're going to buy here, we're going to grow, our tax base is going to get bigger, we're going to have more revenues, we can do more things for instruction for our kids, and create a better public system. That's what the big vision is. So as we continue to work, keep all that in mind, that's what we're working towards. And hopefully one day we'll have a big old dash celebrating our successes and the great things that we're doing. So that's why Ms. Cook is pushing hard on that part. And it's not an I gotcha moment, it's a moment to grow and improve our school system. Anybody want to tell anything?
On that note, I just am impressed with the fact that you're rearranging, fixing, you're not just status quo and hoping it works. You're seeing that things need to change. Groups, teachers aren't necessarily compatible, whatever the scenario is, and just keep your pulse on it, your thumb on it, and know what's going on in your schools. I can feel it. I think we got a great team, and I think we're moving in the right direction. Numbers don't always tell the whole story, but you spoke well of what you're doing in your plan. So just implement it and get the kids excited, hopefully, about testing and a little cheerleader on the campus, and see if we can move them in the right direction. Make them want to do better, okay? And they feel that through you. So please be there, and I hope you feel feel our love, that we're hoping that y'all are very successful with this. And you got all our support. Work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
Okay?
We can feel the fire within all our administration. We just want you guys to keep it up. You're doing a good job.
Agenda item number 13, superintendent reports. Ms. Cook.
Okay, the first part we have is just giving you some information as we work on our public relations and letting everybody know through our Facebook pages and our website, all the great things that are going on in the classroom. And you can see some days we have so many hits. I want to go back and see what in the world was posted that day. Like we had on a Friday, March 1st, at the high school, 5,176 people were reached. I was going to go back and see what in the world was that. That was something exciting.
Wayne, you weren't pushing the button.
No,
You just sit there doing
Only 2,000 of them.
But it's exciting to see, that people are going and they're reaching people. People are looking at what's going on that otherwise would not know. And so we're going to continue that and be looking as we gear up for next year, what are some other things we can add and do. Our new website page we released, it's almost been a month ago now. And you see on that report how the increased active users, how we went from back here, we had 1,182 active users. Back in December, up to 8,287. It looks like that was towards between February and March, right after we released the new website. So people are going, they're checking us out, they're seeing what's going on. So if you haven't checked out the website, you need to go and see that new fresh look. And as we keep adding things on there also. You have also in your package, you have this is not all of the activities, but some of the highlights of activities. So just kind of keep you aware in case you have a free moment, want to attend a game. This spring is very, very busy. I think that's why I didn't see as many people here tonight. I know there's lots going on with it being light. You have the daylight later in the day. A lot of great things are going on. I've also included my very aggressive move-in plan. When I first presented this for Charlie, I thought he was going to have a heart attack in front of me. I said, we can do this. And they are already on it. If you've not had a chance to, the doors are open when you leave tonight. You might go and check out the new administration wing, which has been moved in. And all of the rooms, everyone has moved now so that we can move towards moving the 5th grade teachers onto the back end of this wing. And then 3rd grade will move into the middle wing, which then will keep us from having to move anyone again. That was a goal. I appreciate the admin office staff that just jumped on this. I was very nervous about sharing that out and saying, okay, we're going to all kind of scrunch up and move together. Before I could hardly get the words out of my mouth, I actually had to go back around and say, stop just a minute, because they were moving so fast. But it's been a great thing, a lot of cleaning out. Our custodian, she came in off stage, her hair was, I said, are you okay? And she said, they're throwing lots of stuff away. I'm having to take a list. I said, well, that's good that they're throwing away. So a lot of cleaning out, reorganizing. I know they're worn out, but I just appreciate the attitude. I appreciate our maintenance staff, our custodial staff, and our administrative staff just pulling together, and they just have the attitude of this is what we need to do and this is best for our kids, let's do it. And so I just can't say enough about them. But I wanted you to see our plan. It is aggressive. Of course, a lot of this hinges off of what actually happens with the construction if they meet their deadlines. We're going to be sharing this with them tomorrow, saying that I don't want to have to change this, so they need to stay on target so that we can stay on target. Really, they're ahead because with us already having moved the admin staff, they'll be getting the rooms prepped for 5th grade. We can start slowly moving boxes and things around from them. So we're really getting a little ahead right now, so we're trying to use our time wisely And this is amidst all the other, just the normal jobs that everyone has. So everyone's working really hard, you know, and I think we're gonna pull this off and in record time. I have no doubt, because this is a great team all the way around.
This is impressive. How many rooms did we end up using from this hall?
We pulled 4, right? 4.
4. That's all they need to come over?
They needed 6 rooms, so they'll have 6 rooms and their lab still on this hallway.
Very good.
So 4. So that took in Sally's, all of her office area, the business office, basically with Cruz and Adri and Cheryl, and then Diane. They all had to move. In the shifting, but in the shifting then, in order to accommodate them, then the whole special ed department had to move. And that's been massive. I think, plus I'm surprised Chris is here. There's a lot to go with special ed, a lot of documentation and just cabinets and everything. And so, and in that shift, and because, you know, it's been a ripple effect, because then Blaze moved, and then we cleared a place, built a whole new office for Wayne in about 2 days for him to come over. I'm serious. I mean, I would hear noise and I'd go out and look, and there'd be a wall where there used to be a wall. Or you walk down the hall and the walls were gone that used to be there. So it's been, you just stay, I just learned to stay out of the way and let it go. So, but they're awesome. Then any other questions on the move-in plan? Okay. All right.
On the, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Yes, yes.
On the next side, on the Team of 8 training with vision and goal setting option, we've had several conversations, and Adele keeps reminding me, I forgot, that we needed to get this completed. One of the things that's delayed us in completing it is everything that's been going on since you came on board officially December, January. But through the Team of 8 training is where we come up with the vision and the goals and the mission statement for the district. Now, we do that periodically. I'm not too sure the last time when that was done. But normally we'll have TASB come in and the board will meet as a team, and they facilitate that training as we develop that vision. One of the things that I challenged Ms. Cook was, as we were preparing for this, is there anything out there that we can do differently? And one of the aspects of that was trying to look if there was any type of training that involved community or more stakeholders, more administrators, teachers. We can always drive down from the top and push down through the organization, but will there be buy-in? That becomes the question, because then it becomes, well, it's just what they wanted, we didn't have any input. So one of the challenges that I presented to her was to go out and look and to see if she could find anything. It's not that any system's right or wrong, it's just gonna be a matter of preference of what we want. If you guys are still comfortable with the top-down approach, we can bring Tasby in, but she did find an alternative, and she's gonna visit with us on that part of it.
I just gave you a little one-page handout on it because it's very, there's a lot of information they've sent me from Engage to Learn, but I thought it was a little overwhelming. So I just gave you the one-pager, and I thought I'd just give you a synopsis. I've shared this with the admin team. We've been kind of thinking about it, going back and forth on, this is kind of a different approach even for, you know, from our direction. But what I like about this, and what I wanted to present it, and a lot of us went and attended the sessions at midwinter when we were there. So we actually had them come and present to us, just so we could kind of mull it around and see what we think. But the thing about this is it's more than just creating a vision statement that you put up on a wall. It's about really diving in, and what I feel like I'm sensing you're wanting to do as a board, and what I know we would like to see as an admin team, is where we look at what kind of culture are we trying to create. Because if you want to see your scores rise, if you want to see people come to our district, they're looking for culture. That's what it is. It's not really the scores. It's what's happening there. What's making that happen. Because there are districts that have really good scores, but they're very strict and stern, and And, you know, and it's so intense, parents don't want their kids there because they want their kids also to enjoy learning. So you have to think about what it is, what does the community want? What does they want with their community? We're here as servants of this community. And so this framework is a way to have an opportunity to bring in the community and get their input. What do you want your school to look like? What is it you hope to see in your classrooms? What do you hope your students, your children are, what's happening in there? You take that information then and put it with that growth towards student achievement, and you craft a learning framework that's unique to our district. It's not a canned program, because you can get those. They can come in and tell you, all right, if you're wanting X, Y, Z, this is what you're going to do. This is what it needs to look like. But this is where it's basically a grassroots effort. It rises from within this community. What does Aransas Pass want to look like? When we say we are AP, what do we mean by that? What is our culture? And through this process, you develop that. And you take that through doing summits and or focus groups where you bring in people from the community, parents, the business leaders, because you know, people are thinking about coming in and having their businesses here. You want, what are they needing us to produce for their businesses? Of course, the teachers, the staff, you as the board, all come together and you have that voice that rises up. You take that information and then you create a shared vision based off of what those needs are, and you look at what your beliefs are, because you need to know what you believe so you can achieve it. And so you have to have that piece. And then in that you create that vision statement or that mission statement, or what they call it is a call to action. And I love that. It's like, what are we, you know, when we rise up and we fight the good fight every day, what are we fighting to do? What is it supposed to look like? What culture are we creating? So you take all of that information, do it collectively, and this takes, several different meetings that you have. Then you work towards a team of 8 training. Once you've developed all of that and you've brought it together, then the team of 8 training is where you come together and you really focus on the points of that call to action or that vision, and how we as a team of 8, how we're going to help, what our part is in creating and designing that culture, and what support needs to be given. So that let's say if we say that it's a growth mindset with engagement in the classroom. It's decided that we want to see engaging classrooms, and we define what engagement looks like in our classrooms, whether it's project-based learning or just throwing out ideas. So once that's determined, then you as a team, as board members with me, we need to learn more about what does that look like and how you as a board support that so that you're a part of that culture. And so that when you're out talking or your constituents come up to you and say, what's going on with the PBL? What do they mean by that? We want you to know what that means, and you be a part of that process. So that's where that training comes. So then it's more of a rising up from within, creating that culture and that vision where you are enveloped with that and you lead then with that charge and providing the resources and support that needs, so that the admin team then takes the mantle and starts creating and designing what it's going to look like, and then implementing it, making it happen. Then having that accountability, along with coaching and accountability, that you wrap that back around to ensure that when we put these scores up there, or we put reports up, or whatever we bring, everything we're doing rolls back around to what we said we believe in and what our focus and vision are. So it's a longer process, a little more expensive than just hiring in a TASB consultant, but when I interviewed with you and through conversations that we've had, the thing that caused me to want to be here was that you have this vision of your progressive thinking. You're wanting, as a board, from what I can hear and tell, you're wanting to make this district the best it can be, and you truly are striving for excellence. Well, if we're going to do that, if we're going to become excellent, we have to do things differently. So to me, a team of 8 training is just your normal, it's nothing wrong with it, but it's more status quo. It's that plateau place. It's that sitting where you've been and continuing to do what you've always done. If we're gonna knock the top off of this, like we talked about in our meetings, I mean, we're gonna do something really big, then I'm like, go big or go home, as they say. I mean, that's what to me this is about. I'm a little nervous because I've never done it quite like this. So I'm like, this better work, or I'm gonna look like an idiot when this is over with. But I really believe in this. I really believe in my team. I believe in you guys, and so, sorry to get excited. But I just, I wanted to bring it to you as an option. I know it's gonna be very different, but if you're interested in thinking about going this route, I would like to have an opportunity to do some more investigating, talk to my team some more about it, and then begin to move that direction, and kind of see what happens, and see how great we can make this school.
So this is an information item.
Yes.
No any action tonight, but I believe for Ms. Cook to move forward, she needs to hear some sense of what we want to do.
Am I scaring you, or?
I'm ready.
Y'all know I get excited. That first time you saw me, you knew I did this way, so.
Well, and something to add to that, I mean, you said it different ways. What's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we've sat here, several of us, I mean, we're all pretty seasoned, and we keep wanting a different result, but not getting the vision that we have, so I mean, change it a little bit. So I mean, I'm fine with it. Everybody else is, and give you more, you want to look further into it. Okay.
Well, the only other piece I had, I did put in, for your information, I redid the organization chart, to be more reflective of where we are at this point. And the changes that you will see is that we've added the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Mr. Bennett, to the chart. And then I shifted, when I looked at what we have him concentrating on, his focus of student service areas, I looked at those staff members that I thought were more in line where he would be, them being under him as in the supervisory role would be more fitting. So we moved Director of Health Services, Ms. McCutcheon, over, because a lot of the things they'll be working on will be similar, and I think that's a better fit for a lot of those student services. Put Mr. O'Brien as DAP principal over in this area, since Mr. Bennett will be working a lot with the DAP and any type of hearings we have to have and all of those things. So he would be working more in line with that. And then Ms. Morales is the parent liaison and truancy officer. Put her there because that's all under those student service pieces. Then that would leave under the principals, we have a PHS principal, which we'll be bringing to your recommendation here in just a little bit. And then I put just tentatively an assistant principal for Charlie Marshall with the change of moving these students over. We've been looking at staffing, having those discussions to see if we can shake that out budgetarily so that can happen. We think that would be a great asset to us moving forward. So we're working on that. So I put a placeholder there in hopes that we can make that happen for this next school year. So any concerns or questions about the chart?
Good. Do you have any questions? If there are no questions, we move over to agenda item number 14, to consider and approve one of the following options for September 14, 2018 staff weather-related closure. Option A is to approve a staff makeup day to be completed on April the 19th, 2019 per the 18-19 calendar. Option B is to approve a resolution regarding authorization of a leave adjustment for the weather-related closure. That's good.
Okay. If you remember, that was when we had the small storm that was brewing out in the Gulf, and it was the first storm that we had since Harvey. It became very aware to me that there was still some,
Shell shock.
shell shock. Yes. So I called that day a bad weather day. And it ended up, we did have some flooding that happened on the weekend. It didn't actually happen on the day, but I still believe it was the best call for our staff and for our families, for just that emotional well-being. I think, sometimes, just to show that you are aware of what your staff and families are going through. And so with that said, on our calendar, back on page 68, the only bad weather day that we have left for the teachers to make up, so let me say this is for teachers only, for staff only. The students, we have enough minutes in the calendar for those to be made up. So there was no need for the students to make up the days. We had plenty of minutes built in. But for the staff, they would need to, they're supposed to work their 187. So the only day left will be April 10th, which is Good Friday. So that is the day that we would have to make up. So for the calendar, the way we can make this up, option is one, is for us to say, stay with the calendar that was approved, and April 10th, all staff will report on Good Friday. That's kind of a downer. So option two would be that by policy, you may pass a resolution authorizing the use of authorization of leave adjustments for that September 14th, 2018 as a weather-related closure. And you have on page 73, you have the resolution as prepared by our attorney. So you do have that authority. My recommendation is to do the resolution as it states. I think she said it pretty good here. As doing so will be beneficial to employee morale, will engender employee loyalty, and will underscore the importance of the safety that students, parents, and employees and school community members holds for Aransas Pass ISD. That's in the third paragraph. So that would be my recommendation for us in making up that day. And we waited until this time to bring it to you, because if we'd had any other weather-related days, then we would have to have a different conversation. But thankfully, and I hope, who knows, we haven't had Easter yet, so you have the Easter snap, but hopefully we won't have anything.
With this resolution, do we lose any funding if we pass this? No funding?
No, because the students' days are counted for, all that's done. This is teachers just will not, what will happen is, basically teachers will be paid for their 187 days, they worked 186.
Any other comments or questions?
I move that we accept the resolution regarding authorization of leave adjustments for September 14th.
I have a motion by Ms. Diossis to approve the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
May I go back and add one thing I forgot
Sure.
on the report? On the calendar, because I was thinking, why did I put that calendar there, and then Blake reminded me. It would help in that piece, but the other piece was, what we're looking at doing as part of the move-in plan is where we have May 20, is this the right calendar? Oh, let me go to 18-19. On the 18-19 calendar, where we have May 29th being the last day for students, we are going to be looking at May 24th, unless you just, think I'm crazy here. May 24th, this doesn't take board approval, but I think you need to be in the know the reason I'm thinking here. If we let the students out on May 24th, once again, we have enough minutes for our students. It will not hurt us anyway in funding or so forth. We've already looked all of that up. We do not have to adjust our calendars. We just, I forgot what it's called, I meant to write it down. Diane has done all this back work for me. We can release the students on May 24th with our instructional minutes still in place, bring the staff back after the Memorial Day, so that on that 28th and 29th, what we would be doing is, especially for our campuses that are moving, We will be having big moving days or packing days. That will give us an opportunity while teachers are still under contract to want to get that going instead of them having to come back after the fact. Also, when you look at after Memorial Day, 1.5 days, our attendance probably would be very low anyway, the way this calendar was built. So I think it would probably help us out on our ADA. It will also, because for our attendance piece. So that's what we're looking at doing is, we're gonna talk about it some more in the administrative team meeting tomorrow.
Could we move the graduation up?
No, graduation, everything will stay the same, except the students will be out on the 24th. And then we'll use that last week, the high school and the middle school, we'll use it for any attendance recovery, credit recovery, any students that need, so some students could still be coming back. It could be an incentive, get your stuff done, you don't have to come back. But if you don't, then those students would be required to come back at the secondary level to make up any attendance or credit requirements.
Don't they already get out early, like high school gets out 2 weeks before graduation and, the ones that are ahead? So why wouldn't we just move up graduation to the 24th?
Well, at this point, that would be very difficult with invitations, families that already have flights coming in. It's never wise to move your graduation, you know. But I mean, do you think that?
Now, this is all, this, when we've been able to do this, it helps us, get some of those students that might have issues with attendance, that might not normally have the time to make it up. We have them come in, seniors could be, come those next 3 days.
Qualified graduation?
Yes, and some of them, no matter what you do, they either come in or they don't have the chance. Last year, it was close because we didn't have the time. We barely squeezed some in, getting in there.
You think we'll have them all come back to graduate that week later? I know, that.
No, we've done this. We've used this format before, and we really used it a few years ago. We did the flex days. We had that on the calendar. But that's bringing in the students for, trying to get schoolwork out of them at that time. That drops off. But for attendance, I've had really good luck with them getting them back for attendance.
Okay.
They'll come for that.
Okay.
And as far as coming to their graduation, oh yes, they'll come.
Yeah, they'll
Come
do
to their graduation. They may have partied a little before they got there, that would be good. I just wanted you to be aware we were looking at doing that, so if we start pushing something out, I didn't want you to find out that way, you'd be able to speak to the reason for it. It's, give them an opportunity to get out early and get us a chance to go ahead and get some things taken care of. Because we're gonna be pushing it this summer to get everything done, and we want to start the school year off with everything in place.
How is that information going to be disseminated?
Once we get that together, then we will start pushing it out everywhere we can. Facebook, notes home, call outs. I mean, we're gonna make sure, that's why I want to bring
Change the
that
calendar.
now. Well, we won't necessarily change, well, I don't know if we'll change the calendar. There'll be like something that added to it.
Okay.
Yes, but we'll make sure it's put out immediately.
Agenda item number 15 is to consider and approve the interlocal agreement with the Educational Service Center Region 2 and the Region 2 Fiber Consortium.
Yes, Jason's going to go into more detail with this. We're always looking for opportunities to how we can enhance anything we're offering or doing in the district, and sometimes coming together in a consortium effort or just any type of partnerships. Many times that proves to be very beneficial, especially when you're a smaller district. And so this is one opportunity that the Service Center has brought to our attention. Jason's been attending all the meetings, gathering the information. It's been coming at us pretty quickly. We, even as of today, received more information. So it's something we're looking at. We want to bring to you for consideration. But we do come to it carefully, and there's still a lot of unknowns. But I'll turn it over to Jason so that he can share with us what this all is about.
All right. So back in August, BSC2 got in touch with all the tech directors all 40 in the ESC2 region. And business director, we're all invited, we're all to talk about getting our own ISP going, internet service provider type of to house it within the ESC and get it around to all the districts that comes around. We're now here after several meetings, and the reason we have this interlocal agreement here is if we don't get this in now, because it's federally funded on the side, the ESC board has to take it to their, well, the ESC has to take it to their board to be able to get it in so that we can get it all approved. So let me explain what this is. All right, so with all the districts, these little red lines, that would be the fiber, the internet going to each school district. It's like the internet coming into your house, okay? It's built in, they built it in with redundancy so that, let's say if a line is cut, traffic can go around and still get out onto the internet. So that's what that's going like. So if, let's say, the Corpus Christi Bridge fiber line went out, traffic can still go out through Port A or out through this, and we'll still get out to the internet that goes with this. It's a huge amount of cost that goes with it. It's been already put out to bid. That goes with this, and we're here to look at it as where we're going to go from here, as where we're going to. If you think about it, a couple of years ago, you know, about 7 years ago, we had 30 megs. Okay, which means we had just a little bit of bandwidth that goes in, but we weren't using that much to go with it. Now we've got programs that are the Reading Plus. They're all video. They're reading to it with audio that comes into it. Right now we're out to, we have 3/4 of a gig right now, which means we have a lot, okay? And we're using half of that. But next year, or the year after that, or the year after that, it's gonna keep continuing with more stuff. There's gonna be some new gizmo we're gonna have to be able to get the education process going in the classroom or going in. What this is forward thinking. It's a 10-year plan to be constructed between 21 and 24 to be paid for, and for a 10 gig dedicated fiber line coming in to the district. All right. What we're paying for now. Let me just go ahead and keep on talking. I know I'm gonna miss something here. This was the timeline that comes up with it. The big thing we gotta go here is if we don't get in on this now, all right, there's no getting in. We're gonna be where we're at with local, and that's great too, okay? If we go ahead and get in on it now, we have an opt-out in late fall, or early fall, late summer. There's still a chance for us to get out if we can't afford what's gonna happen, all right? There's two pieces to it. There's a monthly cost. And it's right here. $18.50 is what we'd end up paying the first 5 years each month. $975, 6 through year 10. All right. That is no longer discounted. That's it. That's what we're going to end up paying. Because E-rate's footing the bill for this. If legislation approves the special construction that's coming through, there's no cost of additional construction. However, this is why this is opt-out, is because if we end up having to pay our piece for this, the minimum will be another $3,000 a month for the first 3 years, 21 through 24. All right, so that's why they have this opt-out, so it's gonna be the 1850 plus the $3,000 that goes with it. It's a lot of money.
When is that determined?
That is determined, that's gonna be determined in the late, that's why that opt-out date is the late fall, early summer. I mean, late summer, early fall timeline that goes with this. Okay? You're correct.
So this is a federal grant that hasn't been approved yet?
No. It's the federal E-rate part is already portioned for this.
Okay.
It's already going out to bid, all right? 83%, this is right now. If we were to do this, we wouldn't do it because this is where it's at right now. It's $3,000 plus 1850 to get started right now. If this, and it's on page, if the state does their part there in the legislation where they offer more money to it, it goes, the percentage goes up and it actually wipes that $3,000 extra off a month and we're back down to 1850, which is not too bad for a 10 gig deal, for a lot of bandwidth with future scalability coming in. So it's not a bad deal if something happens. Right now, it's not right. What I'm asking for is this, the interlocal agreement. Let's go ahead and see what happens that goes with it. I can tell you right now what we're paying now. We have a 500 meg line come in, that's half of a gig. And we're paying $18.50 right now for that, okay? And we have a 200 meg on copper, which is a fifth of a gig that goes with that. Now, because we do our E-rate, we're actually only paying $370 and $65 a month for this. So again, even at this point, if that's all we end up paying in that one, there's still a question that we don't want to do it. I like to see what, if we get all these districts in there and they all want to get this done, forward kind of looking, yeah, it'd be great to have that happen. Working with the ESC too, that'd be great to get this done. Right now, as it stands, it's not a great plan, but let's see what comes forward with this.
So the service center is basically asking us to agree to join the consortium with an opt-out program.
Correct.
If the rate's not there, and that's gonna give them the buying power.
Correct.
To be able to go and say, well, we represent 42 or 45 districts, and then if that doesn't come to fruition, we go back to where we're at now and just cancel that and out of the program.
Correct.
So this allows this program to move forward for what they need to do.
Right, and that's where it is. And I look at that, if you look in the agreement on, I think it's 5.4 page. I think 11. It's kind of interesting up here trying to sell somebody else's product.
Page 83 of
Yes.
the board book.
Page 83 of the board book, it's page 9 and 17 here. 5.4, if you look down at the B, if the funding is not available, LEAs and the center will have the option to either approve or to terminate this agreement without penalty. And this is kind of what our get out of jail card is right here. Let's go ahead and see what's happened with this. If a lot of the districts get into it, great. If they don't, it's going to fail anyway. I mean, especially if, there's no way there's going to be a lot of districts, especially us. Not especially us, but, we're going to have to add another $3,000 on this. When we're paying, $400, $500 to $800 a month now, with what we have. And what we have is, on the bandwidth side is great. We're working on the wireless right now. At least working towards it. We're sitting pretty where we're at. Let's see what happens with this, with the agreement. It's always good to look at other options that are out there, and if it's still in the situation where it's at, then dump it, we stay where we're at.
Board, any questions?
come back and we opt in full?
I think
Or
that's
is this
how-
a do, this is just, and they hope everyone forgets to opt out, or?
No.
Are you inviting meetings? I mean, I
Well-
hate to have this as an oversight, and all of a sudden we get a $4,000
Well,
bill.
yeah, when we start
And no
looking
one
at that,
readdressed it.
exactly, we're gonna readdress this when we come back to it. You know, it's gonna be something that goes in, that there's got that opt-in, opt-out date, so there's an option there. Whether it is we gotta come back, I'm gonna come back and I'll tell you, inform you what we're doing, to go forward and tell you why. And like I'm saying, right, as of right now, if this were the plan, we would not be involved with this. We have an opt-out on it, give us a couple months, let them work out what their deal is, and, you know, let's see what happens with that. And then, you know, if all things come right, you know, we'll have a bunch of scalability and redundancy, going back on. If not, we'll keep on floating like we do.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between the Education Service Center 2 and APISD as recommended by administration? A motion by Mr. Stansberry and a second by Ms. Diasas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 16 is a discussion item. It's time that's set aside for the board to request future topic items. Is there any request?
I would like an update or a pulse on the safety method that I know Wayne, y'all been working on it, the education, the mentors, and where are we at site-wide with considering carrying, not carrying? I think we need to open that dialogue, not a knee-jerk reaction when something else happens, but keeping it on the table. I don't think we came to any conclusions that I can recall.
Well, we actually have on the April agenda, we already put, that's a note for safety to bring that up. Now, the carry, we had not, actually, Victor and I just talked about that a moment ago, so we will definitely.
No, and just for public information, we had our hearing, which was very well attended. And I think at the time we were in a little transition period as we were changing, and just because of the scope of everything we've been going on with the transition and the bond and the projects and everything, it was something that we need to revisit as a board on the open carry. As far as the SRP? SRP?
Yes.
Been a few months. We have talked about that. Kara and I have discussed it. I know Kara's discussed with Wayne and with Derek on their last training that they had. They were still working on finalizing the reunification plan. As a matter of fact, we talked about trying to have that ready for this board meeting, but it was delayed. We decided we better have it next month when we were more fully prepared. So it's on the agenda for next month.
Okay. I just didn't know, sorry.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anybody have anything else? Okay, the time is now 8:58. The board will convene in executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, 551.074, discussing personnel resignations, recommendations for hire at the high school, principal position, contract renewals for administrators and directors. And we will convene in executive session at this moment. 24, the board has reconvened in open session to act on items regarding action for the closed session. Our first item is to approve the resignation as presented by administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Ecker. Do I have a second? A second by Ms. Diasas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I have a motion to approve Naomi Gonzalez as the RN for Falk Early Childhood School. A motion by Ms. Diasas. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Stansberry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have a motion to approve the contract of administrators. Is that the wording, administrators? Sorry, I missed that one. With administrators and other. I thought I was ready. I have a motion to approve the contract recommendations of administrators and other personnel as recommended by administration. Motion by Mr. Stansberry, second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last item is to approve Michelle Hill as the new Aransas Pass High School principal. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Diostas, a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and welcome to the team.
Welcome back.
Time is now 9:26, and there being no other business before the board, this meeting is adjourned. At 24, the board has reconvened in open session to act on items regarding action for the closed session. Our first item is to approve the resignation as presented by administration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Rector. Do I have a second? A second by Ms. Diostas. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I have a motion to approve Naomi Gonzalez as the RN for Falk Early Childhood School. A motion by Ms. Diostas. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Stansberry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have a motion to approve the contract of administrators. Is that the wording, administrators? Sorry, I missed that one. With administrators and other. I thought I was ready. I have a motion to approve the contract recommendations of administrators and other personnel as recommended by administration. Motion by Mr. Stansberry, second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last item is to approve Michelle Hill as the new Aransas Pass High School principal. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Diostas, a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and welcome to the team.
Welcome back.
Time is now 9:26, and there being no other business before the board, this meeting is adjourned.